going on, y'all? Today's guest is a friend of mine. She's actually living out of her van, going state to state across the country, just traveling and living out of her van with her cat. And it's one of the coolest things that I've seen because it takes a lot to do that. It takes, there's a lot of alone time and there's a lot of being independent and a lot of just being by yourself and getting uncomfortable with things. So it's cool to see that. It's cool to see someone else like do these kind of experiences. So we get to hear what she's going through and what she's experienced along the way. And it was a pretty cool conversation and we started having some fun, so hope you guys enjoy it. This is Bove. It's my foundation. It's my faith. It's my work ethic. It's my drive. It's everything that I've tried to build for myself that has made me who I am. I'll do what it takes
to make you believe. Some people, they're like, oh, you should do a podcast. I'm like, look, I'm happy to just get like Instagram photos up because it's a hassle when you're by yourself. And then they're like, oh, you should be on TikTok. I'm like, it's time consuming and it's chaos with a cat and just trying to do it by yourself. It's hard. So I'm like, I'm doing what I can. Maybe one day.
What's going on, y'all? Just want to take a break for a second. And I really want to be honest with you that I haven't been motivated to work out. I really haven't had the drive. I haven't had any kind of just push or focus to work out until I started taking this pre-workout by Black Market Labs called Cuts. And it's also going to help me burn fat that I need to burn. It acts as a fat burner and also acts as a pre-workout. So I take it before I work out. I have drive, I have endurance, I have focus, and I just never want to stop. So I get through my whole workout without feeling lazy, without feeling lethargic, and I just keep going. So it's going to push you more than you would ever believe, and I love this pre-workout, and that's why we're carrying it at Strong Tower Nutrition. And for you podcast listeners at stnutrition.com, just use the code STRONG, and you get 10% off. So this product is not in yet, but it will be. So keep your eyes open at stnutrition.com for more details and more products soon to come. So you travel across the country by yourself and you just like sleep in parking lots and stuff?
Not always in parking lots. So how it kind of works is west of the Mississippi, there's a lot more public land. It's called BLM land.
Okay.
And it's Bureau of Land Management. And that's pretty much all public. Like anybody can go on it. You can camp. But east of the Mississippi, it's very limited. That's why it's a lot harder to do like van life or like this nomadic life out here. So you do more boondocking.
Right.
And boondocking is when you're like stealth camping in parking lots. So sometimes I do the Walmarts, but.
So does that scare you?
Personally, like, I think I like being in parking lots sometimes better because I know there's other people around.
Right.
Especially when there's like, I generally only stay if there's other people doing the same thing. Like there will be, 10 RVs or other camper vans. So then I know that there's other people close by. Whereas a few times when I'm like wilderness camping on public land and I'm completely by myself, like in the middle of the woods, sometimes the cell service is spotty. I think that's scarier.
Yeah.
So like I like public land camping better, but I like public land camping when I at least know there's other people around.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. Because like I think because parking lots and stuff, they have the lights. Like the bright lights and stuff like that. So I guess it's more, more comfortable doing that.
And it just depends because some places, like even Walmart, it's not across the board that they allow overnight camping. Like some of them, they don't. Yeah. But then even there's some like public spots. Like I was at a public place 2 nights ago and there's like 20 of us, but like the cops like still drive by and to me, I'm like, oh, the cops drove by, like reassurance because it's just kind of nice. Like, but they're not there to kick you out. It's just kind of like monitoring, making sure that everything's safe.
Right.
But sometimes like even the parking lots will have like a security person driving around. So I don't know. At first maybe I was a little more scared, but now I'm getting more comfortable with it. So I'm
Yeah.
like learning, to get used to it, I guess.
So how long has it been so far?
So I had planned on getting on the road last March, and then COVID hit. So I had to, like, my build was 75% done, and I was going to go away, do some traveling, and then come back and finish some stuff like my roof deck.
Yeah.
But then I got put on hold, and I didn't leave until September. And then I was on the road for 4 months, pretty much. Came back for Christmas, worked on the van, fixed a few things, had like doctor appointments, things that I need to be stationary for, and then I just hit the road again.
So kind of like
Not that well.
going backwards, what got you even to do this? What brought that to your mind to like, oh, I want to do this, you know?
Um, so like you said, I was dating someone and we kind of had plans to travel, and then life happens and that didn't work out, and like blessing in disguise. But I was venting to my parents one day. I was like, I don't need him. I'm just gonna live in a van and travel by myself. Like it was my plans to travel.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I had wanted to do. So then I was like, well, you know what? I'm the only one stopping myself. Like I can do that. And then I
Hmm.
started looking into it, and I was like, oh my goodness, look, there's so much information out here. And I knew nothing at the time. And I was like barely dipping my toes into the information. Like I think I did it all from Pinterest and like a few pictures on Instagram. And I was so naive. So naive, but it worked out.
Okay, so it all started with just you wanting to travel.
Yeah, so I mean I had a really good job. But I always wanted to visit out west, and I
Mm,
just felt like, working a Monday to Friday, like 9 to 5 job, that for me personally, like what I was doing, I couldn't, if I took off more than 4 or 5 days, I would be really overwhelmed when I came back.
yeah.
So, or like I would have to work ahead a lot, or then I'd be behind. So then anything more than that just didn't seem feasible.
Hmm.
And then all the places out west, like it wouldn't, I couldn't do a long weekend getaway because it didn't do it justice, or like the time to fly there wasn't worth it. So then one day I just realized it was like black and white. I was like, if like I'm working way too hard for the weekend, and at the time I was 26, I was like, I'm literally like working to live, and this is what a bunch of my parents' friends and like people their age always said, like, I wish I hadn't worked so much.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm gonna work this hard. I'd rather, work for myself and then be able to travel. And it just, I don't know, it all kind of fell into place at the same time where I was realizing, had that little epiphany about like I'm working to live and then wanting to travel. And yeah.
No, I don't blame you. I feel the same way. I think the same way too. Cuz I always try and tell people is like uh you're out here working to live, or we need to work to live, but we don't live to work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that doesn't have to be your life. Like do stuff that you love to do. Go do something that you want to do. Like you can always find work.
And that's exactly like I'm trying to start my own business online, but like worst case scenario, there's always more jobs and I can always get another job. Or I mean, I don't think I'll like be a nomad forever, but
Hmm.
in the meantime, like, I'm still building my resume. So one day when I want to get a job again, I can. But like I'm not gonna waste what are some of the best years of my life working to save up for retirement to then like only have my adventures and travel then, because by then, your health might not be as good. Who knows? We might all die tomorrow. Like at least I lived.
Right,
That's what I
exactly.
say.
Exactly. That's the whole thing.
But
But are you
I don't
doing
want to wait.
anything? Are you doing anything for work now, or are you just going off savings?
So I had really good savings before this, which is what I've primarily funded my trip from so far. But I finally have my LLC registered, so that was one of my things I wanted to do when I was
Mm.
home. And now I have my own digital marketing business online.
Oh wow.
That's something I wanted to do for a while, and it took a little longer to get together. Um, but I used everything for my van to kind of figure out how to navigate and promote things from a business profile.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was, everything I learned like website design and then documented the entire process of my van build. Learned email marketing, I like applied that to my blog. So that again is something I could offer a business as a service. And then learning how to run like paid advertisements on like Facebook and Instagram and linking your profiles to make more efficient. So it's all just a experience. Like I wanted the experience, but I did it kind of as my own business using the van as my vessel to do that. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. So tell me about
Okay.
any like kind of like experiences that you've had. Have you run into like some craziness?
Um, Nothing negative. I mean, it's been, there's been little glitches here and there, like where, I had some issues with the van, but I always say like God provides for everything. And every time I've had an
Mm.
issue, like there's been a person in place to help me with that. So for instance, like when I first built the van, my electric system was set up correctly, but like one of the parts wasn't efficient to make the entire system efficient. Like if that it
Right.
wasn't working properly. Um, so I wasn't able to like recharge my batteries, and I was constantly having to like plug in a backup battery charger to recharge them, and then barely running off of solar. So I got to South Dakota, and they were having a lot of issues with the fires. So the haze was um, impacting my solar panel that I was charging, like something I could have never expected. But when my solar panel was my main source of energy and I wasn't getting anything from that, then I was like really in trouble. Um, so this girl had messaged me on Instagram saying, "Oh, like this is my city. If you come here and visit, I'd love to get coffee. And like, let me know if you need anything." And like, I was like, "Well, hey, can I come plug in at your house because my van needs to be charged?" And she was more than willing. I spent the day recharging my van at her house, and she was awesome. Like her friend was awesome. They helped me with trying to look at the electric setup. But now we're all friends, and like I'll go back and visit them. Another time I got stuck. There's a really bad snowstorm in Denver, and then another like friend from Delaware who I hadn't seen in years messaged me, and she was like, "You can come stay with us for the night." I was like, "Oh, thank goodness." It was cold out.
Man, that's wild. Like you really have to put like trust in people.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of still like use common sense to make sure like you're not putting yourself in unsafe situations.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I've had some awesome experiences just saying yes to people inviting me, out to get coffee, um, or like just talking to people. Like I go to church if I'm like in a town.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I just by saying yes and being more open to talking to strangers, I've had some really cool experiences and like heard some great stories about what they've done in their lives and where they've traveled, and what their hopes are for with work and families. So it's been really cool. Like the people are probably my favorite thing out of this. Sightseeing's cool, but I've met some really awesome people.
Yeah, I think that would honestly be the hardest part for me if I was to do it. Would be the trusting people thing. But yeah, kudos to you because
I,
that's crazy.
I think you got to use common sense, but at the same time, like believing the best in people and
Mm-hmm.
giving them the chance to show you their best. I think it's
Yeah.
important.
But have you learned anything? Has anything changed in you by doing this? Like, has this like brought something out in you that you've never noticed about yourself, or Have you learned something different about yourself through this experience so far?
Um, First, I mean, I feel like I'm a better person than I was per se, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm not always the most patient person, but I feel like I've learned patience,
Yeah.
and being more like empathetic to other people, which my some of my other friends would have told me I was not empathetic before.
Right.
I was too blunt. But I think I don't know, I really try and like see the best in people
Mm-hmm.
and make the best out of every experience. So I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of made me grow up a little.
Yeah, I can imagine that you're more patient because just dealing with, of course there's going to be problems with the van, you know what I mean? And you're not like a mechanic, so it's just like you got to have patience with that and to hope that someone comes
Yeah, for
along or
sure.
someone can help you out with that, you know?
And even just like little things before I probably, at the end, like it's not the end of the world. And to let something I'm not gonna like, I try and think to myself, if I'm not even gonna think about it in 5 years, I'm not gonna give it 5 minutes of my time to be upset or stressed about. Like it's something
Mhm.
so small, it's not worth my energy.
Yeah. What's a couple places that you would kind of say like, "Oh, this is the top. Like this is number one place that I loved being in."
Oh. Um, it's hard because there's like so I want to go back to every single place I just came from. Um, Montana and Utah
Yeah.
were probably two of my favorites because I'd never been to either of them. Utah completely surprised me because I thought it was going to be, like a lot of the red rocks and desert,
Mhm.
but it's got lakes and mountains and just every type of scenery you can imagine. And I didn't expect the mountains and the snow part. I mean, Utah obviously in the winter gets snow, but when I was in the desert and then I would be in mountains with snow like later that day. So that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. But I loved Montana. And I like Wyoming was cool because I love the whole like cowboy feel.
Mhm.
I would love to work on a ranch. I think it would be awesome.
You should do that
But
for like a
yeah,
week or a couple days or something. Just park the van and just be like, "Hey, can I work for a couple days or something like that?" You know what I mean?
I think that's probably what I'm gonna do this summer. Um, is try and make some roots and even just get like a fun summer job in Montana or Wyoming. I think it would be
That'd be
great.
sick. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I'm like, I will shovel horse stalls if you like let me pet the horses.
Dang,
I don't need it
what?
to be glamorous. Like I'll do work.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like my brother, he lives in San Diego now, and he actually went on like it wasn't cross country, but it was like mostly out west kind of trip for his like scootering to film and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And he was in Utah, and I totally forgot that's where they filmed High School Musical. So he
What?
took yeah, so he got a picture in front of the high school where they did the movie.
I didn't know that, but I'm a big High School Musical fan. That's a
Oh no!
great
Next time you go,
soundtrack.
you gotta get a picture like that.
Oh, I will. I didn't know it was in Utah. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
I don't know where in Utah it is, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. Yeah,
Google knows. I'll find out.
yeah. I mean, that's so crazy. But so, how long do you think this will go on for you? Like, how long will you continue to?
I imagine I'll do it probably for another year. And then kind of like see, like use this year to like, visit the US and like see a bunch of places, but then also look for somewhere that maybe I'd want to live like after I'm done driving around.
Yeah,
Um, so I'll probably do it for at least another year, as long as I can, financially support myself and
right,
I'm enjoying it. Like if I like, oh, I hate this, then I won't, then I'll just be done.
right. So,
Or maybe I
have you
need
been
a long
to
break.
every state?
No, not even close.
Oh, okay.
When I left in, and I only count it as a state, like if I did something there, like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
driving through to me doesn't count as go. Oh, another van just drove by me. I get so excited. Like look out the window, like, oh, hey, you want to be friends? Sorry. So when I left in September, I drove straight to South Dakota, and then I did like the West. I wanted to be there for hunting season, so that's why I just like went straight there, and I had to
Okay.
do it before it got cold.
Did you hunt there or?
I didn't hunt in South Dakota, but I met up with a friend from PA. Actually, we weren't friends at the time. We were friends on Instagram, but we'd never met in person. And he invited me to come join his antelope hunt in Nebraska, and it was only an hour and a half south. So I was like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. We shook hands, introduced ourselves. I changed into some camo, and then like hopped in his truck, and we went and scouted for antelope. And then I ended up staying there for 5 days with him.
Mm,
It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was so much fun. We had a great time.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
How
that was
long
wild.
have you been into hunting?
I I started hunting when I was like in college, or maybe like right when I graduated college. Yeah, I think it was when I graduated college when I lived in PA. So not long. I don't have much to show for it, but like if someone's willing to teach me, I will gladly be there to put in the work to learn.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I always thought I wanted to hunt, but then I got older and I just became more sensitive to it.
Well,
I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
honestly, I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I've spent hunting and then, how many harvests I have to show for it. So the amount,
Right.
I really think that's honestly where I started to appreciate nature and being outside was when I started
Mm.
hunting. Like, I didn't have the same love for the outdoors until then. And I think every person should hunt once or twice in their life.
Yeah.
Whether you're bring even like you don't even have to bring a firearm or bow or anything with you or ever have an intention of, shooting something,
Hmm.
but to like be out in the middle of nature, like completely quiet, like you hear the world wake up, if you have the ability or someone with you who can call to animals, like you're literally speaking to animals or speaking back or like you're changing the way that they're moving. So it's really cool to be able to like do that with in the wild, and I think it gives you an appreciation that you wouldn't have otherwise. So I really think everybody should do it.
Yeah. Do you go to like any certain spots where like when you visit a certain state to like just enjoy the nature part of it? Because a lot of states have some beautiful like landscape. It's crazy.
A lot of the BLM land is just insane. Like some of the coolest camping spots. It's just and it's it amazes me that it's free. Like how
Mm.
can this be free? It's beautiful. There's campgrounds. Some of them have like pit toilets. Some of them have water fill ups. Other ones you're literally just in the middle of nowhere. But it is insane, like how pretty it is, and that it's completely free. Just take care of the land. Clean up after yourself. Clean up when you get there.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're off in a like boring campground. Like you're out in the mountains or out in the desert, out on the side of a lake. Like just insane scenery for free.
Yeah. I mean, it's the craziest thing. And you were planning to do this before the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I saw an article yesterday on what was it, USA Weekly or something like that, and it was about so many people doing the van life,
Yeah,
and because
I
of the
mean,
pandemic,
if I had known the pandemic was gonna hit, I would have stayed with my job longer
Mm.
because I ended up getting stuck at home. Like I had my van mostly ready to go, but then all the gyms closed across the nation, which
Mm-hmm.
was my shower option.
Yeah.
Coffee shops were closed, so like you couldn't sit down to work anywhere. And I was like, where would I get water filled up? So it's like all the things that I could have obviously gone in my van, and parks were still open sometimes, but it was everything else that came with it. So that's kind of why I got stuck. But man, if like we built my van almost in a month in January. No, in February. So it
Jeez.
was freezing cold. And then I'm stuck at home throughout the summer, and it's, you know, 80 and sunny, and I'm just like, would have been a great time to build a van.
Right, exactly.
So hindsight, who would have known we'd have this pandemic? But I have heard of a lot of people, and I know a bunch of people where they did, like, maybe they got laid off, or maybe they went to working from home, and then they built vans during COVID. I was like, good for you guys. Use this
Right.
time to accomplish something. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that was going to happen. So,
Do you see a big difference between the states that you go to with like their COVID protocols and stuff, or is it kind of like the same?
oh no, absolutely. It's different. I forget what state I was in. It was a lot stricter. Oh, maybe I was in Colorado, I think.
Okay.
Um, and I was like in the gym. I think I had to do something for my van on the internet, or like make phone calls.
Hmm.
And they had like signs on the couch, like in the black card lounge, like because occasionally I would sit there and do work. I'm by myself. I'm not around anyone. Like I'll wear my mask.
Hmm.
And the girl was like, no. She's like, we really just want you to get in and get out. And I was like, well, that's rude. She's like, I mean, you can like make a phone call quick, but then we want you to leave. And I was just kind of shocked. I'm like, I'm not near anyone. I'll wear my mask. But it was different. And like there's just some things that make absolutely no sense. Like when they would, cross off showers, but you
Yeah.
let you use the gym. Like how, like just dumb stuff where it's like this makes no sense at all.
Hmm.
Um so a lot of those like super liberal cities, it's just not a
Yeah.
pleasant experience to be in. Because there's not a lot of rational applied to why they do things. But
Yeah. They're just trying to make it seem like, oh, we're doing something,
yeah, and it's
you
like, but
know?
that doesn't make any sense. Like
Right.
no
It
one's
doesn't.
health is going to be better or worse because of this limitation you just did. It's just kind of like a pain for everyone who's trying to use that. I mean, it's definitely, you still have to like take precautions, and I always try and be respectful of wherever I am, like,
Yeah.
whatever rules they have in place. But at the same time, some of these people are just not the brightest, and can't, like, it just doesn't make sense. So I try and avoid those places because it's stressful. Like,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sure. Especially when you need to take a shower and you can't.
Yeah. And I'm like, why
I
could I work
know.
out in your gym, but I can't take a
To
shower?
shower.
Like, it just doesn't. And like some truck stops, there was places where, like, why can we all walk around in here, but showers? And like the places themselves will be like, yeah, we don't know, like it doesn't make sense, but we'll get fined if we let you use them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Makes
It's a weird situation to be in.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you rationalize what makes you feel better. I feel like for some of it, whereas it's not logical.
Yeah, I don't know. But what do you think someone needs mentally to do like this van life thing, to like travel the country? Do you have to have a certain mentality to do it, or like what do you think?
Um, I think that everyone probably could develop it, but being independent for sure.
Yeah.
Um, it's you're alone by yourself a lot. So if you're not okay being by yourself, you would not thrive.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, I'd beg to ask you, like, why aren't you okay being by yourself? Like, do you need a constant distraction? Um, and I feel like a lot of people just like aren't really happy with themselves, so they have to be constantly with someone, or they have to be texting someone or watching TV, and it's like, just, can you sit in silence? Literally, it is so hard because everybody multitasks these days with 1,000 things going on, and
Hmm.
they're not okay with silence. Um, so I think it goes, you can become a more independent person, but it definitely helps if you start out like that. I think it would be kind of hard.
Yeah. How are your
But
parents doing with this? Like, did they check in on you like every couple
oh
seconds?
my gosh. Yeah. So like before I left, how like iPhone sharing, you can share your
Yeah,
location.
yeah.
So I showed them that, and I shared my location with them, and it is like an extreme sport to them. Like my sister said, she goes over there for dinner, and like every 10 minutes they're like, oh, Allie is like not at Walmart anymore. Oh, now she's at Planet Fitness, and I'll just get a random text sometime like, "Oh, I see you're here. Like, how is it?" Like, so they check in all the time. And then two Christmases ago, they're like, what do you want? Because my birthday is right after Christmas, so they were asking for ideas, and I was like, don't get me anything unless it's going in the van because I don't need more stuff. And my mom got me a satellite phone, so it's more a present for
Oh,
her,
okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
it works off the satellites, like floating in space. So that
Right.
if I have cell service, I use that one. So I try and be good about communicating where I am all the time.
So what do you do on like your spare time when you're not driving to somewhere different? Like once you stop, like what do you do?
It just depends on where I am.
Okay.
I do a lot of hiking, like in national parks, or I, work online,
Mm-hmm.
depending on if I have customers at the time for digital marketing,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes I read. But like yesterday, I'm at the beach right now in Florida, and I was just on the beach by myself, and there's volleyball courts. It's like, oh, I want to play so bad. So then I finally saw, I saw some people come up, and I was like, can I play with you? And
Oh
then they're
man,
like,
that's
yeah,
cool.
sure, I'll play. And we played volleyball for 3 hours, and then they're like, well, we're going to get tacos, so you want to come? And it was a hodgepodge of different people who, at one point or another, had just joined in to play volleyball together. And then we went out for tacos afterwards, and now I'm in a volleyball group chat for Florida. And I was like, this is
Dang.
great. Like, I'm staying here. There's volleyball courts. That's all I want to do is play volleyball.
That's awesome that you're in Florida though, because that's one of the best places to be during this time.
Well, it was really my only option because it's the only place that's warm right now.
Right.
So I'm kind of just waiting um, for the rest of the US to thaw out, and
Yeah.
then I'll head west again. But yeah, it is nice because it's hard being in the van when it's cold out. Even if I were to have a heater inside,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like even cleaning the van, it's easier when you can have the doors open. You can put stuff outside. Like it makes it very hard when it's cold outside. So
Yeah.
now being here, it's a much more pleasant experience.
So what do you do since you're with your cat? What do you do with the cat when you like leave the van? Just leave him there?
She just chills
She
in here. Um, she is normally like sitting on if there's somewhere, like if I'm in a city or something with people
Mm-hmm.
walking around, she'll be like face pressed on the glass, just like people watching all day. Or if
Oh,
there's
okay.
birds, I mean, she's like running back and forth in the van, like chasing birds to the front and chasing birds to the back. Or she sleeps. Cats sleep a lot.
Yeah.
But if I'm somewhere like camping during the day and I'm working from my van or just hanging out, like I'll have the door open and put her on a leash, and then she just kind of chills, like or we go on walks. Like we do that in the morning, but she's pretty chill. She's a cool cat.
So do you have any like hobbies like other than like work and stuff? I don't know. Do you read a lot on the road, or do you listen to podcasts, or
I do podcasts when I drive.
okay,
Um, I'm like trying to stock up on some because I finished all my series. I generally listen to like crime podcasts because I
okay, yeah,
love
yeah,
stuff. Um, and then like at night, generally when you live in an apartment or a house, you watch TV before bed.
mm-hmm,
But I read instead, and one thing I've noticed is I sleep so much better in my van, and I don't waste time like I do when I have a TV in front of me.
right,
It's just so much easier to like click next episode, and just end up watching 3 or 4 shows or staying up all night and then sleeping in all morning because now you need to sleep, and it's just like you waste so much time in front of the TV, and that's what I realized like
yeah,
I definitely do. So I try and read before bed, and then like how your brain works, it naturally like puts you to sleep compared to blue light from a TV. It's
yeah,
gonna keep you up longer.
right. What would like your basic everyday? I mean, your day is gonna be different every different day. You know what I mean? But like, take us through like your day, like from waking up to like what time do you like wake up?
Um, so it really depends. I generally wake up between it really depends on where I am and if I've like the blinds down or if the blinds are up. But like I try and wake up between like 7:30 and 9.
Hmm.
So if I'm somewhere where there's a lot of people and I have to have all the blinds down, then it's really dark and that can be hard to wake up. But naturally I try and like, wake up when the sun comes up, um, make coffee, clean up the van, make my bed. It's always easier when you start with things clean. Then if I'm in a city, I generally will go to the gym first, gym, shower, and go to a coffee shop, get some work done on my computer, and then normally like play outside in the afternoon. I love to play outside. And then cook dinner in the van, make lunch. I pretty much eat most of my meals in the van. Then before bed, I'll just chill. Sometimes I get to meet up with friends if I'm around, but normally like work in the morning and then do some sort of outdoor activity almost every day. It's
Yeah.
very rare that I would stay in the van from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed.
Right. Unless it's like raining or something, right?
Yeah, but even then, like I would generally go to the gym or a coffee shop,
Yeah.
something just to get out of the van to break it up.
Yeah.
It is a small space if you're in here 24/7.
Do you get a lot of people hitting you up like on social media to like, oh, come by us or come by us, you know what I mean? Like come visit us or something like that?
Yes and no. If I post where I'm going ahead of time, I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, like I'm in this area." And some of those have been my favorite experiences so far. Like I just met up with someone who said they were following me for a while now and I'd never, we'd never talked before.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, "Hey, I'm in Tampa. Would you want to get coffee?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, "Let's go." And he's like, "Tomorrow morning?" "Yep, let's do it." And we had so much fun. Like we just are very similar people. He is in the army right now. I hope I got that right. But he wants to travel and we were talking about like I was like, "Well, you can do so many cool things because he's a pilot." I'm like, like there's so many fun jobs and outdoor things, and we were talking about places we like to like travel to or where we want to go. And it's just like someone totally random, never talked to him before, but we had a great time. And even some other people like, maybe it's someone I knew from college, but we weren't exactly like good friends.
Right.
But I've gone and met up with them and they've been a tour guide for a city I've never been to. And it's kind of nice that like they're going out of their way um to let me know that they're there. Even if it's something like were to go wrong with my van or I needed something, knowing that I know someone in a city is always like it's just calming to know you
Yeah.
could call someone if something happened.
And I think that's so dope that you have that kind of like personality that can do this. You know what I mean? Like I keep
Does help. I'm very outgoing.
yeah, I mean I keep imagining myself trying to do it. I'm like, bro, there's no way like I would talk to someone to help me with anything or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
it
can
helps being outgoing.
yeah, like very independent. I can be by myself. That's no problem. But once it comes to like I need help with my van or something, like it won't go and it won't start. I'm not someone that calls somebody like, oh, "Okay, can you help me?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Or I'm
I
gonna go
think
play
that,
volleyball with these guys, or stuff like that.
but
It's just
it makes for great experiences, and I think that
oh,
part of that,
definitely
where you ask what type of person, you could bring yourself to be that person.
right. Yeah.
If you're not okay with going up to strangers, well, why not? Like,
Hmm.
why are you nervous? No, I'm not calling you out, but I'm like, are you nervous that they would reject you or, that you might not like them? Because I might go out for coffee or drinks with someone and I might not like them. But
Yeah.
like, we don't have to be the exact same person. We don't have to have the same views on everything, but I could still learn from them, and their experiences. And so I think being outgoing, it would help. And just put yourself out there. Like you can't be afraid of someone saying no or failing,
Right.
um because yeah, you just gotta go all in, and
Yeah.
amazing things happen when you can do that.
Yeah. And I wish I could. I mean, I'm working on it,
You
but
can do
like,
it. You can do
but like,
it.
I think my biggest thing is the trust thing
Yeah.
because you know how long it took me to even like take my first Uber. Like,
Uber could be scary, okay?
well, that's what I'm
Uber could
saying.
be scary. You're getting in a vehicle with them. Like I drive myself to meet with people. Like
Right,
Ubers,
yeah.
I could see that being scary.
Yeah, because even my sister was making fun of me. She was like, she was like, Ben, you're big as shit. Like, why are you scared? And I was like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Because
Like
like what if they give you poison water? I never drink water. That's
poison
including in
water.
the
I mean, I
Uber.
wasn't thinking that.
Else, don't eat the snacks.
Yeah, I was thinking about like they might have a gun or something. I don't know. I don't know what their life is,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's why, when I say use common sense, like I always
right,
meet people in public places. I always drive myself there. I went camp. This girl invited me to go camping with her and her friends, and I was meeting them later, and like right at the last minute, I was like, oh crap. Maybe I should have asked her like who these friends are. I was
yeah,
like, are they guys, girls? Like, I literally had no idea. I'm rolling up in like the Utah desert. I was like, I have no idea who I'm meeting right now.
that's crazy.
So this girl came running over and flagged me down. I was like, yes, another chick at least. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, I hate them all, and I drive away.
Yeah,
Like I'm in my van, I can leave at any time. Now they were all super dope. We got along great, hung out for a few days. We're all friends now, and like we'll probably all travel again together soon. But if I didn't want to stay, I could have just left.
right. Do you ever get like people like banging on your van or anything?
Not so much my van because it doesn't exactly show like a camper van from the outside, and
Okay.
that's why I intentionally like kept it white. And I don't have any like stickers or anything on it
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to be able to blend in.
Yeah.
Just for safety, like as a solo female,
Right.
I would have loved to make it like army green or something super cool.
Right.
But for me, it was more of a safety concern. But I think other people definitely get that when they can tell it's a camper van. They're like, "Oh, can I see the inside?" Or when they're somewhere that maybe they shouldn't be, that they're more obvious. Whereas
Yeah.
I blend in with all the construction vans.
Right. Right. Cause that, I mean, that would freak me out too. Is just like if I'm sleeping or something, and then people start coming around, and they just want to know what's in there.
Yeah, I think that if you have like a super cool vehicle, you might get that more. But
Yeah, but since you blend in, you probably don't. Right.
yeah, one time my friend and I were sitting in my van in her neighborhood, and we had the lights on inside, and these two little kids. I mean, they were probably like 9. I don't know what little is, but they drove by on their bikes, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is so cool! Like we need this for our treehouse." And I think it was like they were referring to the ladder on the back. But I mean, they were like right on. I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're gonna climb on the
On the
van!"
van.
I'm like, and we're sitting here. I'm like, because my windows are blacked out. I'm like, how do they not see us? Like, they're gonna climb on the van, and we're sitting right here. And then they came back. They're like, "Whoa!" Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how do they not see us? I'm sitting right next to the window with the lights on. It was hilarious. I was just like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't want to scare them. Like they're little kids.
Yeah.
But it was so weird. That was my only time that someone was like peeking in. And then I've had weird stuff. Oh my gosh. I was in a parking lot and this lady like came behind my van to like change out of her Spanx. And I'm like, no, I'm in here. I can see you. I was like,
Nuh-uh.
oh my gosh. It gets good laughs. Or, like people are like, oh my gosh, like look at this kitty cat. And I'm just watching them and they just don't know I'm in here. So it's
Oh,
great
that's
people
funny.
good people watching.
Oh, I bet. You never dealt with like any homeless people like trying to be around your van or anything, have you?
No.
No,
I
that's
mean,
good.
I always park in public places. I always try and park, I park in the back of like big parking lots because it's easier to manage.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a large vehicle. But, I generally try and pick safe places. I don't like staying in cities. I don't feel comfortable. So I haven't had much of that issue with, you know, where, or like homeless people. But
Right. What are other van people like? Are they similar to you or like more weird?
I think van people are unique
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
everybody's got a different story. And like I was just with a group, I think there's like 10 or 12 of us. One of them's like retired. She lives in her van full time. Another one was a paramedic who's working on her nursing degree so she can be a travel nurse. Another one was a skydiver who was a travel reporter, and she
Oh.
just quit that job to get into e-commerce. She started her own business online. Someone else was a YouTuber. One of them was just like this kid chilling. I don't remember what he did for work, but like he was in a Prius, just like hanging out with like. There's people of every group. I mean, I think I'm definitely the oddball because how do I say this? I consider myself a nomad because I like to travel, but like hippie is a little more liberal, and I'm
Right.
like
What's nomad mean?
nomad is someone like who travels around, like no
Okay.
exact like destination. Whereas I feel like people associate the word hippie with like doing
Like weed and
drugs.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
know, I know it's legal in some places, and to each their own. I just choose not to do that.
Right. Yeah.
But like, I like hunting, which you really don't get a lot of van lifers who hunt. And like on Sundays, I try and go to church.
Hmm.
If I'm in a city where there's, or like if I'm in the middle of nowhere, then I'll just do my own division that day. So I think in that aspect, I'm a little different, but then again, I have met some people like me, and being able to talk with people who are different than you
Hmm.
is cool though. Like if that makes sense. So I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're a different type of like nomad or hippie than me. Like we can all still be friends.
Yeah, definitely.
That well.
And I think what I was thinking about was since you said like you go to church and stuff, has this done anything with your like walking in your faith? Has this made you like stronger in your faith? Has this done anything to build your faith in Christ?
I think for me, it's more about trust and control.
Okay.
That because I'm in a situation that's it's not planned
Hmm.
every day. There's stray kids. Hi, buddy. Say hi. Oh my
Aw,
gosh.
that was cute. That was cute.
I know. I wish I could have screenshotted that.
Uh,
You're adorable. Oh my goodness. Um, so when I do find myself in situations like that, I'm getting stressed out or things aren't going as planned, I try and start naturally fixing them and like making it better. And then I have to remind myself, like, Allie, like, you're trying to control everything. Like, pray about it first and then talk about it or like then
yeah.
seek other solutions. But like God provides. I just need to trust Him that He will. So for me, it's like, learning to let go of the control is definitely been something I've tried to work on a lot. And I notice more, I guess, with a situation like this.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. Uh, do you find yourself like praying more? Do you find yourself reading the Bible more now that you're like by yourself and
I
stuff like
do.
that?
I like a lot of other people. Like every year, I'd probably say, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to do more devotions this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to read my Bible more. And then it's just like, well, let me do this. Like, I've got to do this, this, and this first. And
Hmm.
then I'll do that. And it's just when you have all these other things to distract you, it's much harder. So by limiting my distractions, I do find myself doing my devotion more, making time for church because before, I mean, being totally realistic and honest, when I lived in an apartment, me and my friends would go out, to a bar, we'd go dancing and or even like have a bonfire, but then we're staying up till 2 in the morning and church comes around. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'll go to the second service. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, kind of slept too late. Like I'm not ready. So, it's just like, it's really easy to make excuses. And when you limit the things that you bring into your life, like by doing something like this, I feel like it makes it easier to concentrate on the things that you want to do instead of all the distractions.
Right. Would doing this be something that you would like say that people should do? I mean, maybe not as long as you're doing it, but maybe I mean, kind of isolating yourself and maybe not even doing just the van life thing. Maybe just isolating yourself and just getting away to something
Yeah,
different.
yes. I
Yeah.
think that everybody at some point, um, like move away from your hometown
Hmm.
because it's going to force you to have different life experiences. You'll probably grow up Um, and just like see the world and like appreciate other people and other places because we're like you can always go back.
Yeah.
But like open your mind to what else is out there and not just what you're comfortable with and what you know. So whether that's moving somewhere new or traveling for a bit and like don't maybe not always like travel to like all the tourist spots or I don't know. It just I think that everybody should, leave their hometown at some point because yeah, you grow up.
Yeah.
You learn about yourself, you learn about other places, and I think that it's beneficial and everybody should do it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the same kind of talk I had with my brother when he was deciding whether he wanted to go out west and move to California. He was very like uh, kind of weary about it. You know, but now it's like the best decision he's ever made. And I was
Because
like,
it's scary. It's scary doing things where it's unknown.
oh yeah,
But like it's you don't have control over everything. Do things that scare you because it gives you the opportunity to grow and like you can always go back. It's
right,
not like they're gonna close the door in your hometown and be like, oh no, sorry, you left, you're out. Like
right.
you can go back. Like get outside your comfort zone. Yeah. I think I think that's the hardest part is it's scary because it's unknown. So just
Yeah, and I
yeah.
think that's the biggest thing for humans is just that fear of the unknown and being uncomfortable.
Yep.
And like you said, like you have to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to put
Yeah.
yourself in those positions, no matter what it is, whether it be for work, for your health, for whatever.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. It's, being being okay with uncomfortable. Like it's not always fun, but
Yeah. How long did it take you to get comfortable with what you're doing?
um probably like well, it's I don't know. Because I started out west
Mm-hmm.
where it was public land. So like that made it easier compared to trying to do it on the East Coast would be very difficult. And even right now I know some other friends who are on the East Coast where they've been, they even like paid for camp spots. And they've had like negative reactions or been treated poorly
Mm.
because people like don't exactly like van life sometimes. It is growing. And so I think that as a van lifer, you need to be respectful of like what you're doing, where you're parking, um, and things like that. Cause it is weird. It's uncharted territory. I think that's the word.
What would be an
But
example of that, though? What would be an example of someone not liking them? Like, how so? Because I
so
don't get that. What?
I've never had a bad experience, but like
Right.
I've seen it like a few times this week. And I've asked my friends, I'm like, why did that happen? Like one of them was camping and they'd paid for a tent spot and they
Mm-hmm.
were the only ones at this park and the ranger came up and kicked them out because they were sleeping in their van and he's like, well, you took a spot away that could have been a potential
But they
tent
paid for
camper.
it,
Exactly. Like I
so it
don't
doesn't matter.
understand. I'm like, I would have thrown a fit. Like I'll throw a fit for that. But yeah, I don't know. And I guess maybe I, I think that's why you have to be like extra respectful. Like make sure like sleep in places that you're allowed to sleep in.
Yeah.
Be respectful with where you put your trash. Like, don't just dump trash in dumpsters where it's not allowed. Like, I just keep like little trash bags. So when I go to Walmart and I go buy things or I'm in the Dunkin' parking lot and I'm buying something, like then I'll, throw my trash out in a trash can that I'm allowed.
Yeah.
Um, like, making sure if you're like gray water, that you're dumping it in places that are appropriate and that you're not dumping, things that will be harmful to the environment. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't get why people would be mean, but
I think it
it,
has that like homeless and hippie stigma to
yeah,
it. Like
maybe.
people don't know that people are doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And even some people, I've had some people like, Walmart doesn't want you to do that. And I'm like, well, you know what? Walmart makes so much money off of me because every time I sleep in a Walmart parking lot, I'll call first, make sure that I'm allowed
Mm-hmm.
to stay there. But every time I go in and buy something, whether I need it or not, I'm like, they're making money off of me. Did I like, yeah. So as long as the establishment is okay with it,
Yeah.
then I think some people are just jealous and they have to be mean because they want to do something cool, but
Yeah, and I
they won't
think
actually
sometimes
do
people
it.
think they're standing up for something, whereas they're just being ignorant and stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't be bitter. If you want to do something cool, go do it. You don't need to be mean and jealous to other people.
Yeah, exactly. So what's kind of some advice that you would give someone that wants to do the van life thing and wants to go out and and it could be anything, just like having to do with the van, like make sure you have to have this, that kind of stuff.
Another van just drove by.
There you go.
Friends.
More friends.
More friends. Okay. Oh, maybe I'll go knock on their window later. Um, biggest advice would be don't let like the pictures fool you.
Mm,
Because it's not always glamorous
yeah.
and it doesn't have to be as expensive as a lot of other people make it out to be. Like I built my van on a budget. And everyone always tells me like that's probably one of the question I get asked them is how much did I spend on it and like what my costs are. And I think before I ever answer that, I tell them like, pick your budget, what you're able to spend, and then pick your vessel.
Yeah.
So whatever you're going to transform, because I've seen some crazy vessels because sometimes like it's something so weird. Like people have done trailers. I saw a horse trailer one time. I wanted to go in there, but they were never home when I was there. People have done like SUVs. I've seen converted ambulances. So you don't have to buy a brand new van. You can buy a used van.
Hmm.
If you're a good mechanic, you can buy a really old van. But like pick a number, stick to it, and then do what's within your limits. I just wrote a long response back to someone who said he was going to be traveling in his Nissan Altima, and he was kind of like bummed out about it. He's like, but that's like I can't afford a van. I'm like, don't like embrace the opportunity. You're going for it, so congratulations on just going for it. Here's a few tips that will make it easier to do it, but like don't put yourself down because maybe you can't do it to the extent you want, but just go, get started.
Yeah.
Whether, you want to do outdoorsy stuff, like go buy yourself a tent then first. Tent, $30, and go camping and do it like on a miniature scale. Like you don't have to do it so big, but like just get out there, do something outside your comfort zone. And then you ask people questions. Like if you want to do something that they're already doing, like reach out to them because chances are most people want to help you if you just ask. I just didn't know who to ask, so I just did it off a blog post, and I was so naive. And now I have a bunch of friends, and we all ask each other questions like about building, or we've been able to like mentor other people who are doing their builds. So it's a cool community.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk to you because like now people can see like, okay, what's the good things about it? What's the bad things about it? What am I gonna see when I go out there? Of course they're gonna have their own experience. They're not gonna have the same one as you, but it's just
Yeah.
like you give like a little insight and a little maybe paint a little picture about what it could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Like everyone will have their own experience,
Yeah.
and it is what you make it. Like I would say mine is a very casual experience just because I conserve my funds, so like I don't do a lot of like paid adventures when I
Yeah.
go places. Like I do more outdoor stuff, hiking. Like I cook most of my food, so you can make it what you want to. Like you can spend what you want.
Yeah. Well, sounds good. And Allie, I thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
It was. Once you got comfortable, like it was good.
I know,
You know
I
what I'm
wasn't like
saying?
super awkward about it.
Yeah. Once it got comfortable, like we were vibing. It was good.
Yes, good stuff. All good stuff.
All right. Well, I think I just hope that you stay safe and just keep enjoying yourself and have fun doing it.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. I'll see you.
All right.
All right. Bye.